What's up, guys? It's KB. Make sure you subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Click the bell icon down below so you don't miss a single video from us. And thanks for tuning in to another video from Underground Sports Philadelphia. Now let's get into it. All right, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Guzman's Gridiron, presented by the Red and Gray Gridiron Group and Underground Sports Philadelphia, live from the Double Eagle Saloon and Deck Bar. It's Kyle Bennett, Coach Guzman. Coach, another game in the books, a 28-7 defeat at the hands of Washington Township. We mentioned, past couple weeks of how that's kind of turned into a rivalry. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to the game, but break it down for everybody at home who may have missed out. What was kind of the flow of the game? You guys scored the first touchdown of the game, and then, Washington Township able to put together 4 scoring drives. But what was the overall, kind of just takeaway from this matchup?
Well, again, we wound up attacking and scoring early, but again, costly mistakes during the game. And, with a team like Washington Township, you just can't have those costly mistakes because they will make you pay.
It's one of those things, too, you kind of get familiar with a team, like we've mentioned the past couple of weeks, like Washington Township, where you get familiar with how they kind of operate. And, earlier in the year when we talked about Clearview, they're another team that you can't make those mistakes against because they are on that discipline train. What was kind of, just the takeaway of the early score and just the vibe at home and having that behind you, and then, trying to kind of play catch up and kind of compete with Washington Township where those mistakes can haunt you and can come back to bite you the way that they did?
Well, I'll tell you what, it was an electric atmosphere. Tank, he's Tank, found a way, rolled out to his left. And there he finds Mr. Mason Afanador wide open in the end zone. Beautifully thrown ball. You can't ask no more from that kid. That kid is just, Tank gives you everything, every play. And he found his target in Mason. So it lit up that crowd that was there at Catone. It lit up the sidelines. It lit us all up. But again, during the course of the game, you have to, maintain your due diligence, and we kind of, fell off of that track, and that team capitalized on Washington Township.
Now, we've seen Tank in a backup quarterback role earlier in his career, behind Danny Russo in years past, and then obviously comes in as the backup last week when Gavin got banged up, or previously before the bye week at Kingsway.
Right.
Finally gets to throw the rock a little bit. What did you guys take away from Tank's throwing ability of the football and having that as a weapon in his, tool belt that we talk about with these quarterbacks that you guys have? Tank being added into the mix now in a situation where you need him to step up, and he has done so admirably with his legs, and now throwing the rock a little bit. What did you guys take away from just his throwing mechanics and in a game situation as well?
Well, again, Tyreem Powell is just one of those players you can plug and play. Literally both defensively and offensively. A little hindsight with him, he was my starting JV quarterback, since his freshman year. Just an unbelievable athlete that, again, you can plug and play. Very smart. Football IQ's up. He knows, down and distance. He's just the type of kid that absorbs information and lets it go in the series of a game. As far as his throwing ability, we all knew he could throw, and now those that didn't know that he could throw now they know that he can throw. He's just, a student of the game, watches film, make sure that he has a one-up on his opponent. And, again, we can't say enough about Tyreem Powell.
With Tyrell, too, having, his brother played quarterback for Vineland at one point in his high school career as well. Yeah. For him, how much do you think, he can go back and kind of look at those archives of Tyreem going out there and playing quarterback and kind of pick and choose, hey, this is my bloodline. Like, this is what my older brother did. Let me see if I can, pull some tricks from his bag and utilize that for when I'm out there on the field playing the same position.
That's one thing about, the Powell brothers, and in that equation, Reese as well. Even though he was a lineman, they're very tight. Reese, you got Tyreem, you got Tyrell. They're all very tight. And as far as him taking, it's kind of weird, right? So at a point in that game, I'm looking at him and I'm like, wow, flashbacks. It's very, it's just uncanny the flashback that I had, because it's like I had to do a double take. Is that Reem? Is that Terrell? Like his mannerisms on how he moves, his decision making, and his outright leadership on that field. I mean, it's there. It's live and direct. Everyone knows. And again, it's very eerie in that it really like parallels Tyreem's legacy at Vineland too. It's very, very weird and uncanny, but an awesome weird.
Yeah, because Tyreem was playing wide receiver offensively, and then playing that free safety position. We've seen Tank play defensive back for this team, and now was playing wide receiver. Didn't really get a chance to be unlocked fully in the offense just yet, and then it's like, hey, we need you to come throw the ball to your other fellow wide receivers. It's been fun, at the Kingsway game, watching him use his legs to have that aspect into it. How much of a just like Weapon X is Tank Powell?
Mr. Powell again. Any team would love to have a kid like him. Not just because of his football dynamics and what he can do on the field, but what he brings to the team aspect. Just an all-out leader. Maybe not so much a vocal leader, but definitely the kids look up to him and look for his direction.
He's truly a lead by example type of player, and he's got the smarts out there too. That there are some players, not just Tank, but multiple players on this team that it feels like you guys have an extension of the coaching staff whenever they're out on the field. How much of an advantage is that, even in games where you may find yourself behind, but to have guys like Tank and those players out there who have that wherewithal of the playbook, whatever position that they're playing, to have that extension of the coaching staff on this roster?
It's a very beautiful thing to see on the field unravel. As far as an extension of the coaching staff, you have Terrell, you have Mark Mutcherson, you have Patrick Gilbert on the O line. I mean, you have a bunch of guys that just are students of the game. They definitely do their due diligence in the film room, and they, all in all, are just leaders. Whether they're silent leaders or vocal leaders, they're leaders on that team, and they bring that to every single game and to every single practice, which is nice because, again, maybe they see something, another guy, Schwed, I told you about last game, where we might not see it. They bring us the information. Okay, thank you. And then we'll go ahead and take advantage of the information they present to us as a coaching staff.
Going into this game against Washington Township, we talked about the weather was going to play a factor. It was going to be a physical game. Did that all come to fruition? Was it that type of, gritty, physical matchup that you guys were expecting, or did some things kind of go in a different direction as well?
No, it was definitely a physical game. There was some nice hard hitting going on out there. The only dynamic that and I'm glad it didn't come to fruition, was the rain. It's kind of started misting late in the fourth, but the rain wasn't a factor, as we thought it would be. So for that, we're grateful. But again, hats off to Washington Township, where they took advantage of the mistakes we were making on the field, and they came out with the victory.
And the rain didn't really affect, as evidenced by you guys being able to throw for a touchdown.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's something that when we were building into this game, it wasn't really truly a thought that throwing the ball was going to be an option throughout this game, and to be able to get that early on too, to try to set that tempo and that tone is huge. What was it like being back home? Obviously first home game since the bye, but being back home in front of that Vineland faithful crowd, in front of everybody who comes out to Gatone Stadium every Friday night. What was it like having the home fans back in your corner?
It was great. The fans came out in droves, supported our kids. It was senior night, so it added a nice dimension. God bless our seniors. They deserve that kind of like that early send off there. But not too early. I still have them.
Still
for
got
a few
work
more
to be
games.
done.
Yeah, we still got some games to to be had. But again, love my seniors. I wish them nothing but the best, and it was nice to see that the community came out heavy for them. So again, kudos to the community of Vineland too for showing up for the kids.
And what was it like for them, from your perspective, to see them get that recognition from the hometown fans, from everybody at Catone Stadium on Friday night for those seniors?
Again, we were very pleased. Everything went off without a hitch. And parents, friends, they were all, just a breath of fresh air for our seniors. And again, that goes for all the seniors, from the cheerleaders to the band. And thanks to the cheerleaders, the band, everybody that, showed up on senior night.
For this game in particular, we typically try to select a player of the game. Were there any players that stood out to you in this game? Even in a loss, there's bright spots always that
Absolutely.
you can take away. Who are some of those players that stood out to you in this game? Obviously, we talked about Tank, we talked about Mason catching the touchdown, to name a few. But anybody else kind of stand out to you guys as a coaching staff throughout this game?
Oh, absolutely. Joshua Cephas ran the ball hard all game. Again, a dynamic player, great vision, great awareness, quickness. Hats off to him there. Also, our defense, in its totality, played a heck of a game, So kudos to the defense as well. And as far as offense, again, we made some mistakes, but it's nothing that's not fixable. It's nothing that's not fixable. So we're going to get back to the drawing board, and we're going to go ahead and correct, any type of mistakes or any type of maybe some of the kids didn't catch some things. So we'll make sure that's all cleared up and ready for this week.
Now, we did have a season debut as well in this game. What was your guys' takeaway as a staff from Jules making his debut for this team and finally being out there on the field for the first time in game action?
So Jules, made an impact right away. He knows that he left something out there. He knows that, and that's fine. But come this game, I think he's looking for a little retribution there in Mr. Wilson. So we'll see what happens with Julius. But we were overall, for the first game that he was back, we were very pleased as a staff.
And that is one of those things that, a lot of these guys on this team got those first game jitters out in August,
Yes.
before school even started.
Yes.
You're talking almost October when this game goes down, and you're finally getting on the field,
Right.
finally with your team for the first time. Those first game jitters are going to happen, and
Absolutely.
for it to be 5 weeks into the season is a very different circumstance than it happening August week 0.
Right.
So obviously those plays are you kind of almost expect it to happen, and you want to
Right.
just see how the player reacts to those types of moments where you leave something out on the field, you miss a play here and there. You want to see more their mental reactions to that and how they carry themselves throughout the rest of the game, and then how that carries over into the following game.
Absolutely, and again, and just speaking on behalf of Julius here, he knows what he left on the field, and he will address that, because we as a staff are going to address that. So he already knows. Overall, though, throughout the game, I believe, as well as the coaching staff believes, that he reacted the way he should have. He went ahead, quick memory, okay, that's done. I can't take that play back, so let me move on with the rest of the show. And he did, and in great fashion. So.
And even in those moments, what did you guys take away as a staff from his debut and what he adds to this defense in particular? Obviously going out there and playing that linebacker position in a unique skill set that you mentioned throughout practice. This
Absolutely.
is going to add a new dimension to this linebacker core. What did you guys take away from his first game action, what he does specifically for this linebacker room?
Well, one of the things that we enjoy, watching him do is he also, not only does he, stop the run, which he's supposed to, but he also gets involved in the passing defense. Great passing defensive linebacker, always has a knack for being around the ball. So again, we're kind of like scratching the surface with him, right? With him, it being his first game back, it's something to hang your hat on. That okay, yeah, you had left a couple plays out there, but you also made a ton of plays out there. So we're fine with Julius, but I can guarantee you this: as the games commence later on into the season, he's going to show what we're talking about as far as being a dynamic linebacker.
And he is one of those players, too, that just seeing him on the sidelines and walking by him, showing up to Gatone State, he's got the height as well.
Absolutely.
And to have that as a linebacker who can get back in the passing game, that's a skill that you can't teach height.
You can't teach height or speed.
So, I mean, that's going to be a lot of fun to watch as he progresses and gets more comfortable in game action, too, defending the pass. And who knows, maybe we have a, intercepting, member of the linebacker corps joining the ball hawks back there in the defensive back room.
We would have zero worries with that. Zero qualms. We'd go ahead and, embrace that. So hats off to Julius for his first game back, and we're looking for more out of him.
And, coming out of the bye week, we mentioned, still some injuries across the board. What's the injury front looking like, going into this away matchup against Holy Spirit? How are guys healing up? Some key players have been out a few weeks now. Right. How has the recovery process been for some of these guys that have been out?
So, in speaking with you about this, so Jacob Martinez, he should be cleared for this week. So he should be on the sideline. Then you have Ryan Maven. He should be clear for this game as well. So as far as health is concerned, and we already had gotten Carter back, we're looking okay now. We're looking like we'll be at full strength, so let's knock on wood and hope that the injury bug stays away from us for the second half of the season. So,
and you talk about Josh Cephas running the ball hard in this matchup.
Absolutely.
What did you guys take away from his performance as he's kind of, stepped into this new role for himself this year as a whole and has progressed week by week, getting better and better, running the football and just being that dynamic speed back for you guys?
Listen, in that little frame, there's a lot of punch, believe me when I tell you. This kid has all heart, what he lacks in weight and size, he makes up for in vision, awareness, quickness, speed. I mean, the kid has it, and that's why he doesn't shy away from running up the middle. Okay, some people think, oh, well, with that type of back, you really want to look to run him outside. Well, he could do the outside thing, and he could do the inside thing. He just wants to play. He just wants to be involved. And, to have somebody like Josh Cephas on our team, we're more than happy and glad that we have that gentleman on our team.
There's not many 5'5" running backs who can run between the tackles as well as he does at the high school level.
And at his weight, he's not the biggest of guys.
He's maybe 140 pounds soaking wet.
Right? But guess what? All heart, runs the ball right up the gut if we ask him to. There's never a, hey, coach. Yes, sir. No, sir. Done. That's it. And he gets it done. So hats off to Mr. Cephas and what he does.
And as a collective, how is the running back room progressing? Obviously, there's that stable of backs back there. What are you guys looking to take away from this matchup where, Cephas runs the ball hard? You still have, 3 running backs in that room that can provide a plethora of dynamics for the running back position.
Right. So, again, we're going to be looking to get all of our running backs involved, and Josh and Nazir, also in Carter, also in Prince Borte. So all of them will get their touches. Now what they do with the rock depends on them. Every time, someone goes ahead and gets a chance to, get a hold of that football, they have to show their dynamic and what they're good at. So again, we're just we're kind of anticipating everyone's return at full bore, and that running back room is going to be pretty special come this Friday.
And I mean, even with the running backs, you also have a plethora of wide receivers who have stepped up in big ways. We've seen Xavier Diaz in years past and this year obviously make big plays. Mason Afanador goes up and gets a touchdown this week. He's progressed extremely well as a wide receiver, this year especially. But what are you looking to take away, from a game like this where you had another different quarterback in the room, running the offense. Mason gets involved offensively, but moving forward, what do you guys want to see continue to progress from this wide receiver group as well in the passing game?
So, again, as far as our wideouts are concerned, we're looking to make sure that, first things first, we got to handle things up front. So everything's got to be solidified up front by our big guys so that, Tyrell has a nice pocket to unleash that football. But we're looking for the normal things, high pointing the ball, making sure that they catch it with their hands and not their body. Make sure that they're using their body to act as a buffer between the defender and the ball. All the simple things that maybe, again, some people might take advantage of and kind of like, shoot it to the side. That's our main focus. Those little tender points in between are definitely key points that we, strongly emphasize to our players.
And before we keep it pushing, talking about the rest of the team and getting set for Holy Spirit, got to give a shout-out to our sponsor, Allen Associates. And if you're looking for a reliable and experienced insurance agency that caters to all your needs, look no further than Allen Associates Insurance Services. With over 6 decades of experience under their belt, they specialize in health insurance, financial services, and accounting. And whether you're part of the public or private sector, they've got you covered. Their family-owned business currently helps upwards of 300 groups throughout New Jersey, providing them with the best insurance options available. And you can now easily learn more and access their services by visiting their brand new website, which is linked below on audio and on YouTube. And it's up on the screen right now as you guys are watching on YouTube, so you can go right to it. So join the family and let them help you secure your future. You can also contact them today by calling 856-692-2250. That's 856-692-2250. Big thank you to Allen Associates for sponsoring Guzman's Gridiron. But overall, takeaways from this game, Coach, it's a learning process as well.
Absolutely.
In a game like this where it is, so much build up with a new age rivalry, a team that both teams know each other very well. What are some of the learning points you guys take away from this to carry with you the rest of the season and more specifically into this week on the road for the second time against Holy Spirit?
The main focal point is mistake-free football. We have got to, when we're playing teams like Washington Township, Holy Spirit, St. Augustine, you have to be mistake-free. Or try your hardest to be mistake-free, being so that a team like that can capitalize on your mistakes in a jiffy. So, again, our main takeaway was, mistake-free football, execution of plays, and, body language was another talking point. You can't, hang your head because of one mistake or 2 mistakes. I mean, it doesn't matter. You got to stay positive throughout the course of the game because, again, body language says a lot. And when your quarterback is, and I'm not saying Terrell did this, but I'm just giving an example. If a quarterback is hanging their head and they're just, bad body language, all of that energy feeds into your line, feeds into your wideouts. And
it feeds into your opponent.
Yeah, and then they see it. They just start to.
They become
okay.
bloodhounds.
Yeah,
they're ready to go.
We're ready to. Yeah, we're about to end this. Is what their thinking is. So, those were some of the takeaways that we made sure that we instilled in our kids. Come actually today when we had film and install. So.
And film and install on a Monday after a game like this. How did everything go? Takeaway wise, what was kind of that flip in body language, during film, taking in all the mistakes that may have happened, taking in the positives as well. What was today's practice like?
Very productive. The kids saw what we were talking about and by way of mistakes, by way of if we did see any weird body language, all of these little things were brought out during, film study for the first half of the practice. And the kids responded. They knew. They saw, and they apologized, and they know that come this Friday, they've got to get better every week at being mistake-free, at executing the plays, and definitely at having positive body language.
As this season has progressed, we talked about it on the broadcast. Every Friday night we talked about it here too. After that Clearview game, schedule gets a little bit tougher. Opponents who have this pedigree of being, playing into December, playing at those state championship levels. Holy Spirit's one of those teams as well.
Yes.
Second time you guys prepare for a road trip as well this season. What is kind of the mindset now that the schedule's flipping to, this October portion where it is a lot more of going on the road rather than being at home and kind of preparing in a business trip type of situation where, you got to go on the road, take care of business to the best of your ability, and then come back home, and no matter the outcome, it's just a business trip.
Absolutely, and we stress that to our kids. We're business-like mentality. So come this Friday, it's away, but we try to instill in the kids that whether it's home or away, at the end of the day, it's how you come to play. It doesn't matter where you're playing, location, set, and setting doesn't matter. What matters is, are you guys coming to play together as a unit and executing everything that we have done throughout the week. So, again, they might not have that luxury of having, the Vineland community behind them by way of being at Gatone, but we travel pretty good too. Mm-hmm. We travel pretty good, so they'll definitely have the community behind them. But again, we always say we are all we got, and it is the truth. We are all we got. So whether we're traveling or we're home, we got to do everything for ourselves, and we got to get the job done.
And, playing an opponent like Holy Spirit, one of those private schools that are able to pull in talent from wherever they see fit, what is kind of the mindset going into a game where, the talent level is kind of spread out from different areas and not necessarily just that one pocketed area of a school that you may have played in the past?
So, we always tell the kids, at the end of the day, it matters not who your opponent is. What matters is, are you giving forth the effort that you need to give, and are you doing the job that you need to do to get the job done? That's it. There's no excuses. Wins are wins and losses are losses. You got to take your W's and your L's. It is what it is. And they know that. So, again, whether they're a private school and they can recruit or they're a public school and they can't, the mindset's the same. We've got to execute and get the job done in order to get our W's.
Feels like it's been a couple of years since Holy Spirit's been on the schedule. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
But I think the last time that we went to Holy Spirit was in 2020, which was my first game in the booth, ironically. I got my start at Holy Spirit.
That's a good game, by the way.
It was a good game. And, in a game like that where, a couple years ago, you saw yourselves in a game against Holy Spirit for 99% of that game. It was a one-touchdown game for the majority of it. How much of that is kind of instilled when you prepare for playing this game in particular, where it's like, you talk about it doesn't matter who the talent is. You can be in the game no matter who's out there.
Mm-hmm. And this is what it comes down to: belief, right? You've got to believe that you and your team are going to come out victorious. And if everyone has that belief, it makes the job of getting the job done that much easier. So we always tell our kids, you just have to believe, man. You have to believe. And on top of believing comes great practice, great work ethic throughout the week, making sure that we go ahead and do our due diligence to tackle what we need to tackle as far as all the work that's concerned. And make sure that you're watching film. Do all the little things. Know your opponent in and out. Know all the little maybe idiosyncrasies that, some people might not think that a person twitching their leg a little bit means something. Well, it does. You have these involuntary muscle movements that sometimes you really got to study film to pick up on. But once you pick up on that, that's a key. That's one of your keys. So you can lock in, and that's 100% whatever's going to happen, whether the guard's pulling because he's twitching his leg or, the fullback's going to, block for the tailback in the back because he's shaking. Whatever little keys you can get from watching film, and that's a big to-do, watching film, it just makes you a smarter player. Your football IQ goes through the roof, when you do these things. So that's how we're looking to handle it for this coming game.
We're going to take a quick break. have a word from our sponsors once again, but don't go anywhere. We're going to talk more about this Holy Spirit matchup. Isaiah Pacheco scoring in front of Taylor Swift once again, and Rutgers off to a phenomenal start on the year. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on Guzman's Gridiron, presented by Underground Sports Philadelphia and the Red and Gray Gridiron Group. This episode of Guzman's Gridiron is brought to you proudly by Allen Associates. And if you're looking for a reliable and experienced insurance agency that caters to all your needs, look no further than Allen Associates Insurance Services. With over 6 decades of experience under their belts, they specialize in health insurance, financial services, and accounting. Whether you're part of the public or private sector, they've got you covered. Our family-owned business currently helps upwards of 300 groups throughout New Jersey, providing them with the best insurance options available. You can now easily learn more and access our services by visiting our brand new website, AllenAssoc.com. That's ALLENASSOC.com. Link is also in the description of this episode. So join the family and let us help you secure your future. Contact Allen Associates today by calling 856-692-2250. That's 856-692-2250. We want to thank Allen Associates for being a proud partner of Guzman's Gridiron, the official Vineland High School football coaches show on the Underground Sports Philadelphia Podcast Network. Now, let's get back to the show. And big thank you to our sponsors, Coach Holy Spirit. We mentioned just a bit ago that, it's been since 2020 since we've been there. Grass surface field that tends to get a little beat up, as the year goes on. We've had some rain in the forecast just in the area across the board. What is the preparation on a field surface like that can be, a little unpredictable?
Well, we have our own unpredictable practice field to kind of match that vibe over there in Holy Spirit. So where it gets muddy in certain spots, one thing about that field over in Holy Spirit, it's always moist. Mm-hmm. Always. It doesn't matter whether it rains, it doesn't rain. It's always, and especially in certain spots, very moist. But again, we have our practice field as well, which holds a lot of water also. So it's a nice replicant there, if you would. So we'll be fine. Again, there's no excuses. Even if we just had turf, oh well, you got to play the game. So, again, we're looking forward to Friday night playing Holy Spirit.
And, it has been a while since we played Holy Spirit. What is kind of the message for the first-timers who haven't played against, a private school like this, or kind of getting their first, taste at the varsity level, playing against a private school that is able to recruit, that does have this expedited talent from all over the place, and just kind of mentally preparing for that, and just a different edge that comes with the public versus private school matchup. We've seen it, Holy Spirit, we've seen it with St. Joe's Hamilton, we've seen it with St. Augustine, but what is kind of the message to the first-timers that are getting, their first crack at a public versus private school matchup?
One of the messages we instill in them is you can't get overwhelmed. You can't, you have to know what you have, what tools you're bringing to the table, and unlock your potential, because when you're going up against better competition, it starts to unlock different little things that maybe you didn't even think you were that good at. So we tell them, cream rises to the top, so let's see what type of what type of energy you can manifest to go ahead and rival a team like that handpicks its kids in Holy Spirit.
And what is kind of the approach from the coaching staff? Do you guys use this as a litmus test as well for, just the overall portion of the season that you're in, and just talent versus talent wise, to see where you guys kind of match up? Is that kind of one of the things that you keep in your back pocket? Let's see how we go, punch for punch, pound for pound with a team like this at this point in the season.
I think a lot of coaches do that. Being so that when you're talking your Holy Spirits, your St. Augustine preps, up north, your Don Bosco preps, St. Elizabeth preps, right? When you're talking teams like that, that those teams are, in retrospect, they're all-star caliber teams. They're handpicked kids. It's a dynamic flow for them, right? But they can do it. Mm-hmm. So again, we just make sure that our kids understand that, you're going up against a team like this, it can only make you better. It's going to unlock a lot of things that you didn't think you could do. You're going to see it come this game, but you can't get overwhelmed. Just because they're the, whatever, number one in South Jersey or number two in South. Relax, temper your thoughts, and just play the game. That's it. Do what you were taught, hone in on your special skills, and unleash them on your opponent. That's it. So.
And how much, is it put out there to play up to your competition? This is going to be an elevated level of competition you're going to see at different aspects of the game. How much is it preached, through all three phases from this staff to play up to that competition?
Absolutely. We've got to rival that tenacity. We've got to rival their energy. We've got to rival it all because, again, you're talking about kids that are handpicked. So you know that at every position they are pretty skilled. If you don't rise to the occasion, it can be a long day. So we definitely go ahead and let the kids know, this isn't just a normal game. This is something that you can actually unlock some potential that you have not done yet, So, but at the end of the day, it's again, I know I'm repetitious, but it all comes down to blocking and tackling, man. Blocking and tackling, X's and O's. So we'll see who fares better come Friday.
What are some things that you guys as a staff have picked up on watching film on this particular Holy Spirit team that they do really well that, stands out to you guys that may be different from the last time that you saw this team, that they have different players, obviously, every 4 years, new players come in, but, some things that they do really well with this particular iteration of Holy Spirit?
One thing that we noticed is, again, the run game
seems to be a mainstay.
Yeah, it seems to be a mainstay with them. They always have a quarterback. In college I actually had Ed Burns. Their field is named after Mr. Burns. I had Mr. Burns' son, Eddie Burns, be my quarterback at the College of New Jersey. So they always have a quarterback.
Not to be confused with Montgomery Burns.
No. Not
Excellent.
Not to be confused with Montgomery Burns. But, so they always seem to have the running game is always polished, and they always seem to have a polished quarterback as well.
And, some things that we do well defensively, we have the dogs up front, we have those linebackers. How much, is it impressioned upon them to be like, hey, they run the ball really well. This is your chance to really step up and showcase your ability to stop the run, to get in there, make plays, and showcase your talents, for a Noah Cruz, for Jules, coming into his second game, and for that entire D-line to really step up their game to another level this year and hone in that they can stop the run against an elite echelon team like Holy Spirit.
Yeah, so as far as our defense, they're always, primed for the task, always. Best believe they will be ready. Best believe that they're gonna be headhunting. So at the end of the day, we're gonna go ahead and put in our game plan come this week defensively, and we're looking to really be opportunistic this game. Really be opportunistic. Causing turnovers. Even the D-backs. Punching at the ball, swiping at the ball through the elbow, all of those things and all those little dynamics will be definitely honed in on come this Friday.
And defensively, what has stood out to you that Holy Spirit does on their defensive side of the ball that, you're going to have to pinpoint and really focus in on this week of practice to really be sharp against the defense that they're going to present to you?
As far as their defensive, aspects, they're very opportunistic with the run, in stopping the run. They very different little schemes as far as blitzing. So they do send a lot of blitzes, more so than any other team that we've faced thus far. So again, we've got to be able to pick up those blitzes. Linemen have got to keep their head up and see, and communicate throughout the whole game because they're going to be unleashing an array of different blitzes come Friday.
And in a game like this, we talk about how special teams can flip the script on a lot of things. How important is special teams going to be from, Colin's leg, both kicking potentially with extra points and field goals and his ability to punt the ball to flip the field and flip field position, and then on the other hand, somebody like Xavier Diaz, somebody like, Cephas being able to be in the return game and give you guys positive field position to start off offensive possession.
Can't say enough about Coach Marcelino. By the way, he says hi.
Look at that.
See, I remembered. Yeah, as far as he's concerned, he has our special teams units just on another tier. Very proud of him, and he does his due diligence on film work. I'll tell you that much, because he'll even pick up little nuances that I didn't see, and I'm a film rat, So he'll have every single special teams, ready and willing to go. And he's definitely looking to be opportunistic on that, portion of the football game as well.
And that's one of those things in a game like this. Special teams, you want to be opportunistic in a game where you're facing elevated competition. Create opportunities for both your offense and defense with your special teams to put the ball in your hand, to push their offense back and set your defense up for opportunities, potentially get a safety, potentially put them in poor field position to force a punt on their end. Special teams can change the dynamic of any game, but especially in a game like this, it can be pivotal to who comes out on top.
Absolutely. And again, I'm definitely curious to see what little, wrinkles, if you will, in his game plan Marcelino's going to, unleash come Friday.
And, for this offense, too, where you mentioned Holy Spirit's defense, they have these nuances of stopping the run. How nice is it to have, Carter back there as your lead back, and to have him back in the fold to help this running game progress and really, open up lanes for this running back stable that you guys have?
I can't say enough about Carter. He's just, it's nice to have him back there. He's a big-bodied kid, and he's always looking for contact. He's always looking for contact. So we're not in the slightest, any type of, thinking anything about this, that. No, he's going to be in. He's going to be coming downhill. So whatever linebacker is going to go ahead and deal with that 225, 230-pound.
Good luck.
Hey, God bless you. But he's definitely going to pack a wallop coming downhill.
And, going into this game, what are some things that you're looking for all three phases to kind of, elevate to that next level, step your game up? This is a prime opportunity to showcase your talents. What are some things you guys as a staff are looking forward to in this matchup from all three phases, your offense, your defense, and special teams, that they're capable of and you want them to showcase in this game to really just, hone in on those skills that they possess?
What we're looking for, honestly, is just for our kids to sustain drives, just for our kids to make sure that they're executing on all phases of the game. I always tell them we have yet to put together 4 quarters of football. If we could put 4 quarters of football together, I tell them they can be a very scary out. Very scary out. We show glimpses, like a quarter here and, maybe even a couple quarters, but it's never been 4 quarters that we've put together. So if we could put together 4 quarters of football come Friday, I think people are going to be pretty astonished to see what could happen, But it's up to the kids to put together 4 quarters of mistake-free football.
And we'll give our final thoughts on the Holy Spirit matchup before we wrap, but, the hello table.
Murphy's Law, guys.
Let's talk some alumni.
Yes,
obviously,
absolutely.
At the college level, Tyreem, Rutgers had themselves a day. Not
Absolutely.
all the starters had to play the entire game. Tyreem had 1 assisted tackle in this game, but for them to be off to the start they're off to is such an encouraging sign. Only 1 loss, and that comes to, everybody's preseason favorite to potentially win the national title in the University of Michigan. So
right.
For them to be at where they are right now, I think is a huge, just tip of the cap to Coach Schiano and the way that they've
Absolutely.
been able to, progress this program from where it was when he took over and where they are now, to see Rutgers at 4-1 in the Big Ten, being alive at this point in the season. You talk about that 3-4 years ago, people would look at you like you had 12 heads.
Yes.
To see them at 4-1 and how they're performing. How exciting is that? Just for their program as a whole, and knowing that there is a mini pipeline from Vineland to Rutgers as well, where that was started by Pop and then obviously followed by Tyreem.
Hats off to Coach Schiano and his coaching staff. They do a great job. I've said it before. As far as them being 4-1, it's really not a secret. I mean, Coach Giano, this is what he does. He's shown it time and time again. And to know that our kids are not just getting the football life aspect out of it, but the real life lessons that man and his staff, deliver to the kids. It's something to really tip your hat at. Like I said before in a previous podcast, this man sets you up to win at the game of life. He really does. Him and his staff, they do an incredible job of that. I don't see anything changing for the worse. All I see is this uphill climb, and they will be a powerhouse. This man made it his mission to come back and make Rutgers again. And I'm not surprised to see him 4-1 at all. So, again, kudos to Coach Giano and his staff, and we wish you nothing but the best rest of the season. Tyreem, let's go, man. I'm waiting for you. 3 letters. NFL, baby.
That's what
I'm waiting
talking
for you.
about.
I'm waiting for you.
And I mean, I'm sure he was enjoying a nice little, relaxed Saturday afternoon, only having to play for a little bit because they were up so big on Wagner, and they actually, not that we talk gambling too much on here, but they covered a 47-point spread against Wagner, which is unheard of typically at any level of football. So, I mean, kudos to Rutgers, and I'm sure Tyreem, to get his body, rested up for this next game ahead for them. I'm sure he was thrilled to, just take it easy for a week. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to take the back seat, let the younger guy go in there, which is amazing. It's like the younger guy. It's Tyreem. But anyway.
The fact that he's an upperclassman already at the college level is crazy.
It's unbelievable. Time waits for no man.
Taylor Swift invaded MetLife.
So
did Isaiah Pacheco.
And the Swifties.
I just have to let everybody know.
Everybody was there. It's unbelievable, man.
I have to let everybody know on these national broadcasts. Although Isaiah Pacheco went to Rutgers, MetLife Stadium is not a home game for somebody from South Jersey.
No.
MetLife Stadium is practically in New York.
Yes.
Isaiah Pacheco is from South Jersey.
South
SJ. Jersey.
SJ.
The Meadowlands is not a home game per se for Isaiah Pacheco. It's a close to home game.
Close.
But not quite.
Yeah. But
you're welcome, Mike Tirico.
But on his defense, he does say all the time, if you notice on his right forearm, the state of what? New Jersey is on there. So he represents the whole state. Kudos to him, man. What a game.
Great touchdown dance. That was familiar.
Yeah.
We've seen that a few times at the Phillips Stadium.
Touchdown dance. I mean, this guy's...
And then they cut right to Taylor Swift celebrating a Pacheco touchdown. I was like, that's not Travis Kelce.
No, it ain't. But she's it's nice that she's actually taken to the whole team aspect, and seeing
she's bringing her friends, too.
Yeah, she's bringing friends. It's just nice, man. It really is. So, I mean, a lot of people talk, it's a gimmick. I don't think it's a gimmick. I mean, Taylor Swift has her own money, and Mr. Travis Kelce has his own money, right or wrong.
Exactly.
So it's kind of hard for it to be a gimmick. It really is.
And I mean, Pophead, Wolverine, Deadpool in the building. I'm starting to think the Kansas City Chiefs might be in Deadpool 3, Coach.
They might. There was a lot of stars there yesterday.
Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, Sophie Turner, all in the building.
All in the building yesterday.
Along with Taylor Swift.
I mean, if that isn't a dream, like the Pop literally, he's living in a alternate reality. You know what I mean? It's like he goes from high school, then Rutgers, Taylor Swift, the Swiftie. Where what? I mean, all these actors and he's in a world that he hasn't really experienced too much.
No,
but It's pretty cool to see him
It's
like
pretty
that.
wild.
It's pretty cool to see.
To see him in that environment too, and he's still just doing what he typically does on any given Sunday, going and scoring and producing for the Chiefs. I mean, what a run that he had for that touchdown, to find that hole, find that seam, and just absolutely go. We talked about it last year, Coach Russo and I. When Pop is in open space, nobody is catching him.
No way.
Nobody is catching him. He is one of the fastest athletes I've ever witnessed, and that was even when he was in high school.
Yes.
And now that he's got the added, addition of NFL training and NFL regimen coming into play,
Absolutely.
nobody is catching Isaiah Pacheco in open field space.
Listen, the minute he got the handoff, okay, and his guard pulled, right, the minute that guard hit that cornerback, I looked at my wife and I said, "Oh, Pop is gone.
He gone.
He's gone." He gave a little stutter step to the inside, back out, back to the inside, gone. He's another. It's like an alien out there. It's unbelievable.
And on top of that, Sunday Night Football player of the game, Isaiah Pacheco.
Ball and all. At the end of the game, who do they interview? Mr. Mahomes and Isaiah Pacheco.
How cool is that for you as his former coach to see that? It happened a couple times last year too, but to see him get those post-game interviews on the national spotlight games, whether it's Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday night, where it is just the singular game going on, and then he's getting the game ball, and they put his name on the Sunday Night Football bus and everything like that. Right. How surreal is that?
It's something that I knew this was going to happen. I knew it. I was saying this since he was in 8th grade for criminal's sakes. And I would tell him, I'd be like, "Pop, you're gonna go to the league, man." And him and that smile, the $1 million smile, and now to see it really unfold before our eyes, from this place here, right? He has his little party. I come and bring him his first official hat, Kansas City hat from the mall, and to see him, on the big stage and Super Bowl ring. I mean, it really is a fairy tale he's living out. Absolutely, unequivocally. His favorite team growing up was the Eagles, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Who was he in the Super Bowl with? I mean,
and who's his coach? The coach he grew up rooting for.
Yeah, right or wrong, you can't script it any better. I mean, Hollywood, you better start. Netflix, the series, something.
The next closest thing is what's going on with the Eagles, with DeAndre Swift, who is the Philly kid, went to St. Joe's Prep, who tried to recruit Isaiah to go there and play football as well, but Isaiah stayed home. Yeah. DeAndre Swift then, goes to Georgia, goes to the Lions. Now he's back home, and he's become the running back that everybody expected him to be. Mm-hmm. It's something about that hometown flavor that kicks in from time to time, and Pop's got that instilled with that Chiefs organization. Absolutely. Because there is so much that Andy Reid brought over from the Philadelphia Eagles. Absolutely. That Pop grew up admiring.
Yes.
As a kid, he wanted to play in the NFL for as long as we can remember, and Andy Reid was somebody he admired and looked up to. Absolutely. Growing up as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, and now he's his coach.
It's again, I can't. You can't write a better novel. You just can't. I keep telling these people, I'm going to say it again, Netflix,
Amazon.
Somebody get a hold of this thing, because he has a really beautiful story. Really beautiful story. And I'm not just saying it because, he played here. That young man has
a little research.
Yes, he has a beautiful story, and, of sacrifice, perseverance, pain, suffering, and
adversity.
Yeah, the whole nine, and then all of a sudden, getting to the mountaintop. And still having the wherewithal to keep his humility. He's Pop, man. Mm-hmm. Like the money don't change him. Him being around A-list, people, and Taylor Swift and all these people doesn't change who he is. He's him. And that's the beauty of Isaiah Pacheco. He doesn't change for nobody. He's going to be Pop till the wheels fall off. So, kudos to him. I love him to death.
Here's a fun question, a little prop for the people. You can comment on YouTube, too. Who's the next celebrity Taylor Swift brings in the entourage to watch the Chiefs play?
I'm gonna go on a limb.
Let's see
I don't
who
know.
they play,
I don't
too.
know. I don't even know if she gets along with this girl, but I'm gonna go on a limb and I'm gonna say Kim Kardashian.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I don't know if she gets along with her or not, but I'm gonna say Kim.
Let's see.
There you
Week
go.
5, the Chiefs will be playing the Vikings. Does Lizzo show up? The new man on the Minnesota Vikings come through.
Never know.
Hey,
never
you
know.
never know.
You never know. So, we'll see, man. But that following is something, huh? Taylor Swift,
And
the Swifties,
Pop's
I
biggest
mean-
fan, also Paul Rudd, was in the building.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. He's a,
You want to talk
he's
about
a unique character.
You want to talk about Isaiah Pacheco's #1 fan being Ant-Man?
Yeah.
Is crazy.
It's pretty. I'm telling you, all these A-list, it's unreal, man. I'm like, what? Yeah, cause yeah. Okay, all right, and that's cool. No problem. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. That's awesome, though, right?
It's
like
unreal.
it really is. Again, it's like walking in the clouds that young man is, and he deserves it. He deserves it.
Shout out to our alumni, playing across
All
the
of them.
board,
All
all
of
of them.
them. All of them.
And, Coach, Holy Spirit on deck, another road trip for the boys this week. What's the message to the team, message to everybody at home that may be watching on the Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel, myself and Rich Scarpa on the call this week? What is kind of the message going into this game to prepare for a team like Holy Spirit?
My message is simple. Let's put together 4 quarters of football. And play hard knocks Vineland football. That's all. Real easy, real simple.
It's going to be a fun one. I believe 6 o'clock kickoff
6
as well
o'clock kickoff.
at Holy Spirit. So if you're able to, come on out. We'd love to have you in the stands rooting on for the Fighting Clan. If not, tune into the Vineland Public Schools YouTube channel at 6 o'clock. Myself, Rich Scarpa on the call. And we'll have the broadcast for you all night long. Be sure to subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia podcast feed, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts so you don't miss out on any episodes of Guzman's Gridiron every single week. And subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. That's that little @ symbol. So you don't miss out on the video version because we premiere this every Wednesday night at 7 p.m., 7:30 p.m. And it's just like watching live TV because YouTube sets it up like that. It's a ton of fun. We're in the comments section live, so you can tune in with us. That's youtube.com/@Underground Sports Philadelphia. Big thank you to Allen Associates and the Double Eagle Saloon and Deck Bar for supporting the show like they have all year long. And, Coach, best of luck against Holy Spirit, and we will see you back here next week, hopefully talking about a big-time win.
Let's do it.
Getting ready for another matchup following that. So this has been another episode of Guzman's Gridiron presented by the Red and Gray Gridiron Group and Underground Sports Philadelphia. We'll see you next Monday.